Welcome to the Blessed Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Raykel, and I am just so happy to be back. We've been on, hiatus for the summer, and man, I am so happy to get back to you guys because I have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I have a lot of friends to interview to share with you how we all make a daily decision to be blessed. We are broadcasting on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network. And you can donate because we are all about helping the community. Right now, we are feeding firemen. If you go to www.wytv7.org, you will see the pictures of the firemen that we were feeding. We've also been feeding families, and we give out scholarships at the end of the year for seniors that are going off to college. So your money that you donate is not going to pay us because we do not get paid. This is ministry. We do this because we are here to empower. We are here to educate. We are here to encourage you. So please donate when you can. All right. So, I was doing my whole disclaimer last year. I'm not doing that no more because y'all already know me. I'm going to talk about religion, but I'm not saying I am a preacher, pastor, or Bible scholar. Y'all already know that. But this month is September, and we are focusing on education and teachers. I love teachers. I think they are paid way too little. Their salaries need to be doubled. They are definitely essential workers. So my guest today is my friend, Jody Mumford. Oh, wait, you're married. So Jody Mumford Porter. Jody went to school with me. We both were freshmen at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida. And we were freshman sisters.
Yes.
We stayed in the same dorm and everything.
Yes.
We just had a lot of fun. But I mean, you guys know I have been blessed to know some really good people. And Jody is one of them. And I want to just a little bit about her. She was Miami Herald's first African-American woman, Silver Knight in mathematics. She is currently a teacher at the Broward County Elementary, in Broward County Elementary Schools, and she is a STEM teacher. She is also the owner of Schoolhouse Math. And man, I know it's a lot of parents out there that are, virtual school and math may be an issue. Well, Jody is here to help us. Welcome, Jody.
Thank you, Raykel. It's so good to be here.
I am so glad you are because I have to tell you, you know what? People don't even call me most days, and then they want to call when it's time to do. It's so funny, girl.
That's always how it works.
Always, right? But yeah, so I'm so glad to have you here because we are all doing this virtual schooling and then just just the whole new math, girl.
Yeah.
They was trying to teach me that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one. I'm so glad I didn't have a child going up in there because telling I'm gonna pass on it, that wouldn't have worked.
It would not have at all.
No. So, let's just start off. Can you talk about the new math, what's that about?
So I will be honest with you. The new math is an outgrowth of Common Core. Okay. And here in the state of Florida, our Secretary of Education actually calls it crazy math. Our governor calls it confusing math. And I don't usually agree with them, but I agree with them on this.
Yes.
It's so convoluted that like you, I'm glad that I didn't have children that came up under Common Core because I think we have taken math out of math. It is the goal was for students to understand conceptually what they were doing.
Okay.
But they overshot it in the sense that we focus so much on understanding the concept that we no longer know how to compute. Okay. So students, I see them all the time, don't know, they don't have fluency with multiplication flat facts.
Mhm.
You'll see 7th, 8th, 9th graders that are on their fingers trying to remember tricks for 5 times 9, things that are so basic, but they can draw circles and they'll draw 5 groups of 9 circles and then count them, which is the concept, but it's like, no, that kind of went out in a long time ago, right? So
Right.
it is, in Florida, we have actually done away with it.
Really?
Yes, about earlier, late last year, the governor signed an executive order to do away with Common Core math. However, it's going to take at least 2 years for teachers to be trained in the new standards. So while students in Florida are in math, they're taking math that our governor and our chair of the education department say are crazy and confusing.
Right. Well, see, and then while I made this face, so for the people that's listening, I made like this face when she said they had to be trained, because I'm like, oh, we just gonna go back to regular math where these teachers should already know this. They shouldn't have to be trained on it. But I'm not gonna. But is it wrong to like memorize? Like I remember memorizing my times tables. You're one and you went all the way up, right? And so even for me today, I know that stuff because I memorize it. And I like, and the people who say, well, do you know math? Well, I memorize it. So yes, I do know. So 9 times 9 is 81. I know that, but it wasn't because I was trying to figure out. I memorized it.
Yes.
That's how my daddy taught me, because he was a math teacher. That's
Yes.
how I taught my son.
Yes.
He just memorized that stuff. But then we showed him how to do it, when you had more than just one digit, a single digit. Then you showed them, but it was still about the memorization because you only dealt with the 2 numbers. So if it was 158, you only dealt with the times 9. You only dealt with the 9 times 8.
Yeah.
You only really have to deal with it. So I just think are we making it too complicated in math?
We've overcomplicated it. So class time was no longer spent on practicing that. Kind of the drill and kill that we kind of went through until we got it, because it was like you weren't going on to the next grade level if you didn't have that.
Right.
Class time is, well, what method? Let me show you 6 different methods for you to do this. And then we want you to pick the best method. So students are getting, it's too much. They're getting the methods, the wires crossed. They can't quite remember. And then we're not testing you on the final answer. We're testing you on the method.
Oh, well, I mean, and so I really do get, like, I remember when we were in math and we had to show our work. So we had to show how we got to it. We couldn't just put the answer. So I get showing how you do it. And I guess if you have a kid who isn't good at memorization and you may have to do that, maybe that is something different. Maybe not giving everybody all of those twos because it gets really confusing. But maybe, just finding the people who can't do the rote memorization or, those type of things. And okay, so
let me just to clarify, just one little thing. So when they get to the test, we know the traditional algorithm for doing that, right? So they will say, don't use that algorithm. If we were to use this method, what would the steps look like? And what is the error in step number 3? Well, if you just understood the traditional algorithm and you got the right answer, you're good. And they got the right answer. But if they didn't remember step number 3 on a method that they couldn't really relate to, then they got the question wrong, even though the answer was right.
Yeah, see, I'm so glad my son was not around, because I raised my son in Florida for the first 11 years of his life, so we were in Florida, but we didn't have to deal with that. So I'm glad they're changing it, and I hope everyone else will kind of do the same.
Yes.
But so I just want to talk to you because I'm up here in Omaha, Nebraska, helping
Okay.
my adopted daughter with her little 5-year-old. She went to
Okay.
school, kindergarten.
Yes.
And so she was talking about math. And I was like, oh my gosh, math is just the best. It's so much fun. She was looking at me
Yes.
like, what? Because you know what? I do not understand why we as
Mm-hmm.
Black people are so
Mm-hmm.
afraid of math when we invented it. Now, I'm not saying
Yes.
African Americans invented it,
Yes.
but the Africans, you know what I'm saying, invented
Yes.
math. So I just feel like it's in my DNA.
That's
So
right.
I'm going to figure it out.
That's
I went all
right.
the way to calculus. It was really hard, but I was like, I am going to figure this out
Yes.
because math is in my DNA. So I just had this mindset. And that's really what my show is all about, is like mindset. So math, talking about math, is really about a mindset. And so we have to really start, teaching our kids that math is fun. Math is something that you use in life. It's not,
All the
it's
time.
something that you're going to use for everything. So what I did with her, when we
Mm-hmm.
just talk about math, and I was like, oh my gosh, they were talking about add or subtract, and I said, oh, I bet you can subtract. She was looking at me like, no, I don't even know what that word means. I was like, yeah, you already know how to subtract.
Yes.
And she was like, so we have tea every day. When she comes home, we have a little tea party. We have our tea, and she has a snack. Well, this particular day, she had potato chips.
Uh-huh.
So she had like 6 potato chips left. And I was like, well, put your potato chips out. And
Uh-huh.
she did it. And I said, take one away. And I said, okay, now how many do you have? And she counted. She said, 5. I said, you had 6. You
Mm-hmm.
took one away, and now you have 5. I said, girl, you know subtraction already. Look at you.
Yes.
You're so brilliant. I'm just so
Yes.
proud of you. So we
Yes.
did that. We did it all the way. She took away 3, because when she took it away, she ate it. She
Yes.
ate it, right? And then she had 3 left. I said, so Skylar, you had 6. Now
Mm-hmm.
you only have 3. How many did you eat? She said 3. I said, so 6 minus 3 is 3. She was like, she looked at me like, wow. I was like, that's mad, baby.
That's it.
And then it was just so funny because I was like, it's just that simple. We made it like fun for her. And
Yes.
I
And
just
she
feel
will
like it's
forever
the
remember
right
that.
thing to do, right?
Yes, it absolutely is. It was a practical application. It was something that she absolutely could relate to, and it's etched here.
Mm-hmm.
So even when the teacher begins talking about subtraction, she's going to go back to and pull that down, that experience that she had with you. And so a lot of math is, having that mental picture, and that's what you provided her with, and that'll forever be with her.
That is, I mean, like, so you have a new business called
Yes.
Schoolhouse Math. I love that whole schoolhouse because that's when we were growing up.
I know
That
that.
schoolhouse rock. I'm just a bill. Yeah.
Yes.
I love Schoolhouse Rock. Oh my gosh. So
Yes.
tell me about and tell all of us about Schoolhouse Math.
So I was actually, before the pandemic, poised to start a school, a brick and mortar school. But math was always what I was building it around, and the goal was to be able to get students to excel in math and get them over the hurdle so that they can get into STEM careers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pandemic happened. And I was like, okay, so we just, we take lemons and we make lemonade.
Yeah.
And math was my thing. So I'm like, okay, let's just focus on the math, and I can still do what I'm really passionate about doing. But let's just do it in a different way. And so it just kind of evolved. And I guess at each step of the way, at one point I was considering transforming part of my house to like kind of like a pod where maybe about 20 students could come into, and that was even before the pandemic happened.
Right.
And then I was like, and then the pandemic happened and people started talking about pods and they called it pods. I wasn't even calling it a pod before, but it was really a pod.
Right.
And then I was like, let's just do the virtual thing. And so it has really exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And the niche that I have found is when we start talking about algebra, because there's a movement in the country that says maybe students aren't able to learn algebra, so maybe we should just do away with algebra. And I'm saying to myself, I use algebra all the time, like just in just common living type things. So it's always some kind of equation to be solved, or whatever it is, measurements and so forth. And so that is what people are really rallying around, the algebra. And what I'm finding is with homeschool parents, everybody can teach addition and subtraction and multiplication and division, but if you start going up and it's like, that's above my pay grade, I need a little help.
Right.
So parents have really been reaching out. So I've been in the process of assessing students, because it's really big to me not to have students to fit into a class per se, but to build classes around the needs of students.
Oh, that's good.
So if a student comes to me who may be at the Algebra 1 level, but is not, I've assessed some students that were still in high school, but not fluent with their 6, 7, and 8 timetables. So their plan will be customized to include that. Or they don't really understand the interrelationship between fractions and decimals. So I'll be able to give them, it is completely prescriptive to the needs of students, and then I'm grouping them in small groups that are similar, homogeneous type groupings. So I am good busy.
Yes, you are good busy. I like that.
Good busy.
That what my sister likes, that income producing busy.
Yes, income producing busy.
Someone must be busy and it ain't got nothing to do with no income at all. Not at all.
But you know what, Raykel, what I was talking to a mom today, and she wanted to do, I said, you fill out your form, you only put 2 days a week, but this particular class is only offered 3 days a week, 3 or 5. And she said, but I could only put 2 days because that's all I can afford. And I was like, girl, don't worry about it. You pay for 2, but you're going to get 3. Because I feel like I'm blessed to be a blessing. And I believe that this is my ministry. And I believe that I'm anointed to do this. This is not about Jody Porter. This is about how God has prepared me for this moment.
Yes.
And to bring hope to hopeless students. Because what has happened, particularly with Common Core, but just as a byproduct of children being passed on and not learning what they need to learn along the way, they feel a sense of rejection. They feel like they're not smart. Probably the most common phrase that you'll hear students say about math is, oh, I hate math. If there's one statement, it's that one. And it's because they have not experienced success. So my job is to show them that they can be successful in this, and I feel that success is the best motivator.
I love it. And when you said that, first of all, when people say I hate math, I said, but do you hate money? And they mostly say they don't hate money. I said, so if you don't hate money, you better get to know math, because if you don't know your math, you're going to lose all your money.
That's right. That's right.
Holla, because that's real. Yeah. That's real. You need to know how to add and subtract and do some, especially you do some percentages.
That's right. That's right.
Because them percentages, when you go to a store and they say it's 30% off, you need to know what that means.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what I told my son. If you like money, you need to learn how to like math.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I was really blessed. My son actually really loved math. And then he just is so good in it. He was teaching the kids in high school math. So,
great.
I was surprised that he didn't go to school for math and become a math teacher, but he loved music too. So.
Okay.
And then really, music and math is like.
Yes, you see that pairing a lot. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, but so when you were saying that you were going to let her only pay for 2 days, but to have the 3 days. So do you have a way for people to donate? So when those things come up, do you have like, have you started a 401, I mean, a 501c or something like that?
I have, my attorney is actually working on it because I am starting the Florida STEM Foundation,
Okay.
and paperwork is in process. However, when the Lord led me to start that, it wasn't for this purpose. So, like, God knows the end from the beginning, like,
Yeah.
but we don't know how all the puzzle pieces will come together.
Yeah.
But if we listen to Him, and if we hear His voice, and if we're obedient, then what we will need will be there for us.
That
So,
is so true. You let me tell you. So I am a new thought Christian. And
okay.
so we really focus, our that God lives within inside of us, that God is everywhere, equally present, that means he's in everybody, he's all around, he's just, it's just this
Yes.
energy, right? And so if you think about it like that, that's why your thoughts, even though people always say our thoughts are not like God's thoughts, but if we get our Christ consciousness right, oh boy, we can be there. You know what? Because God lives within us. So when you have that thought, you were thinking about one thing, but God knew, the God in you
Yes.
knew that
New.
he was going to need it for something else. And it just happened. And so it was already working itself through, and it's just so awesome that when we really like our Christ consciousness, I'm gonna have to do a show about this, y'all. Christ consciousness is
Yes.
everything, because that's why Jesus of Nazareth was so great.
Yes.
Like I'm not gonna argue with people about the virgin birth or nothing like that. I'm not gonna argue about none of that.
Yes.
But what made him so great is that he actually had a Christ consciousness. His name was not Jesus Christ.
No, it
He
wasn't.
was Jesus, but
Jesus.
he absolutely used
The
the Christ
Christ.
consciousness because he actually had, he had the thoughts of God. He was really thinking like God, and he basically was telling us that we could do the same thing. And that's why I'm so moved by what you said. Ooh, I'm just overwhelmed right now. I am just
Yes, and you know
overwhelmed.
what? And I fully believed, as I said a few minutes ago, blessed to be a blessing, and it's my goal to not only give students hope and show them that they can be little mathematicians,
Yeah.
but also to make sure that this is affordable and within reach for all families.
Mm-hmm.
So the response I get all the time is, did you make an error with the prices? No, I didn't make an error. I want this to be affordable. And even if it is not affordable to you, then if I'm on social media, I'll say, just DM me. And I had this one lady say, I have 4 kids, I have no money. And I said, but your 4 kids now have a math teacher. So just, give me their names and fill out their forms. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, whatever I'm supposed to have money wise from this, I will have because I trust God.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like my calling and my service is more important.
Amen. So Jody, where can people find your math schoolhouse math?
So I am at www.schoolhousemath.com.
That's awesome. And you know what I was thinking when the people said, when you have people that say, is this too, this not enough? You say,
Yes.
you know what? I'm glad you said that, because if you are willing to pay more, then you can help a child who doesn't have it. And because they might not be looking for a tax write-off. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? So they can start now, because everybody doesn't give money for a tax write-off.
Right.
Because
That's
when you
right.
give money to people on the street, you
That's
don't ask
right.
for a receipt.
That's
I
right.
mean, like, maybe they're gonna start doing that, but you don't ask for a receipt. So
Yes.
you have some people that have a heart to
Yes.
give, even though they don't get a receipt.
That's
So,
right.
but what you can do, like when they give that money, you say, "When this is the child, you help this child with this course."
Yes.
Essence to you.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Growing up, my grandmother used to get, I don't know what charity it was. It was probably TBN or something. And she would adopt the little children from Africa, and they would send her the little pictures,
little
and she
picture.
would just have them up on the wall. And I was like, how many children do you have? you know, but that's what it was. You're providing food for this child for the month or whatever it is. And there's so many people with a benevolent heart. There are people out there with who wanted children, who couldn't have children, who would. And I had never thought about it until you really kind of put it in perspective during this show. So I really appreciate
you
that.
See how God just works. You see,
you know what? Doesn't he? He really does.
That's why I'm telling people. That's why I want everybody really, everybody could be a guest on Blessed, because everybody, once you get that mindset that you are blessed when you wake up every morning, no matter what's going on. I don't care that I don't have a job. I don't care that Corona got me in that locked in the house and I can't. I don't care that I didn't get the stimulus because I make too much. I don't. There is nothing that will stop me from waking up and feeling blessed.
Yes.
And that's the mindset that people have to have, because as you move throughout the day, God's going to just, sprinkle a little bit of wisdom this way and give you an idea this way.
Yes.
I mean, you just always just stay open for the move of God, because like I said, if you remember that God is everywhere equally present, then that means anybody can give you a word.
That's right.
You don't have to be a preacher, a pastor, a Bible scholar. Anybody can give you the word, because God is in everybody.
That's right.
Girl, let me stop preaching, because I know it's about time for us to end. My last question for you.
Yes.
What would you advise parents who have kids, in algebra and all that kind of stuff? What would you advise them? I mean, of course, you want everybody to come to you, but you can't help everybody right now, not right now.
Right.
But what would you advise them to do?
I would advise parents to go back to old math, our math, and make sure that they have those building blocks in place. Because, education is like a pendulum. It swings all the way one way, and then it swings all the way back the other way. And it's going to swing back the other way really soon. So we want to make sure that our students can fluently add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I had a parent say to me, why is that important? It is important because when we get to more complex math, for simplicity's sake, we don't want to be using our brain power to do a basic math computation. We want that to be automatic, and we want to use our brain power in our processing for things that are more complex. And it also interrupts the processing when we have to stop and calculate and do simple computation. So make sure that your students can not read, write, and do arithmetic. They can add, subtract, that too. Yeah. But make sure that they can add, multiply, and divide, and that they understand fractions, because it's not the algebra that gets in the way. It's those earlier skills that keep students from excelling in algebra.
And let me just help the parents out there with when we talk about fractions and stuff like that. Just, every time you buy pizza, you need to
yes,
let them know what the fractions, do the fractions with the pizzas and the pies, because kids like food. I think I'm just hungry. Maybe I'm just hungry. So thank you, Jody, for being here. I sure appreciate it. And everybody out there, please, if you need help, contact Jody. If you have little bitty kids, teach them the way you learned.
Yes.
And you add, subtract, multiply, divide, whatever you got to do to get them to understand those basic concepts. And until next week, be blessed.